There was a moment in the 36th minute at MetLife Stadium on Tuesday night when Michael Olise launched himself into a breathtaking overhead bicycle kick inside the Swedish penalty area, the ball crashing thunderously off the upright and back into play, and an 80,663-strong crowd inside a sweltering New Jersey stadium collectively held its breath. It was the kind of attempt that only a handful of players in world football even attempt, let alone connect with so cleanly. The fact that it didn't go in was almost irrelevant, because it captured everything about a France performance that was, for long stretches, genuinely too brilliant to stop. By the time Kylian Mbappé drilled his second of the evening into the far corner in the 74th minute, France had dismantled Sweden 3-0 with a display of attacking football that underlined why this team, more than any other, looks like the side most likely to lift the trophy on July 19 in this very same stadium. There was an extra layer of emotion attached to this particular match that went well beyond football. Didier Deschamps had missed France's final group game against Norway to fly back to Europe for his mother's funeral, and this round of 32 fixture marked his return to the touchline. The warmth with which Mbappé jogged straight to his manager and embraced him after scoring the opening goal said everything about the bond inside this French camp, a reminder that behind all the individual records and the tactical masterclasses, there are real human beings carrying real weight while still delivering performances of this caliber. Sweden arrived at MetLife Stadium as genuine underdogs who had navigated their way to the round of 32 through a slightly unconventional path. Graham Potter's side had opened the tournament with a stunning 5-1 win over Tunisia before suffering a heavy 5-1 defeat against the Netherlands in a result that raised serious questions about their defensive organization. A 1-1 draw with Japan on the final matchday scraped them through as one of the best third-place teams, a route that most observers accepted as a genuine achievement but which also signaled the ceiling this particular Swedish generation was working within. Their attack was legitimately dangerous on paper. Victor Gyökeres, Alexander Isak, and Anthony Elanga formed a Premier League-powered front three that could hurt almost any defense in the world if given the right service. The challenge was always going to be whether Sweden could actually generate enough possession to unlock a France side that had conceded just 2 goals in 5 previous matches at this tournament. The conditions at MetLife Stadium added their own layer of difficulty to the evening. With temperatures reaching 32 degrees Celsius in a stadium that felt even hotter under the afternoon sun, both squads were clearly battling the climate as much as each other in the opening exchanges, a context that made France's relentless high-energy pressing even more impressive to watch. A mandatory hydration break in the 22nd minute gave both sides a brief rest, but it did nothing to slow down France's attacking tempo once play resumed. If anything, the interval seemed to energize rather than interrupt the rhythm of a French side that looked increasingly determined to end the first half ahead regardless of how many shots it took. The answer, across 90 minutes of genuinely intense heat and atmosphere in New Jersey, was a resounding no. France were dominant from the first whistle, dominating possession in the opening quarter hour at a share that at various points climbed above 70%, and yet for all that control, the early stages produced frustration rather than goals. In the 19th minute, Olise played a beautifully timed ball through to Mbappé, who was clean through on goal and appeared to have scored, only for the assistant referee's flag to cut the celebration dead with an offside call that the review confirmed was correct, if agonizingly tight. France kept pressing, kept building, and kept finding ways to pull Sweden out of shape, but the Swedish defensive block absorbed wave after wave of pressure with remarkable composure in those opening 30 minutes. The woodwork was the only thing keeping Sweden level for long stretches of the first half. In the 32nd minute, Jules Kounde played a sumptuous ball across the face of goal and Mbappé got his foot to it, only to watch his effort clip the base of the post and bounce clear. Then came Olise's bicycle kick against the upright in the 36th minute, which drew the loudest collective gasp of the match. Adrien Rabiot also rattled the crossbar with a ferocious long-range effort that flew just over. France were hitting the woodwork, hitting disallowed goals, hitting every part of the goal frame except the inside of the net, and for one brief window, it seemed like Sweden might somehow survive to the interval on nothing more than a combination of disciplined organization and extraordinary fortune. The breakthrough arrived right at the death of the first half, and it came through a piece of play that encapsulated everything that makes this French attacking unit so difficult to defend against. Goalkeeper Weidel Zetterstrom tipped an Olise effort wide for a corner, and France executed a sharp, rehearsed routine at the set piece. Ousmane Dembélé played the ball short to Olise, who quickly fed it wider to Mbappe near the byline. What came next was the kind of technical moment that makes you immediately want to see a replay. Mbappe executed a quick, precise crossover step to wrong-foot Victor Gyökeres, created just enough space to get his right foot through the ball, and sent a diagonal shot inside the far post that gave the goalkeeper no earthly chance. The French captain ran the length of the field to celebrate, colliding with Dembélé along the way before making a beeline straight to Deschamps on the touchline. The embrace between coach and captain was the emotional highlight of the entire match, wrapped inside the most important moment of the game. Sweden spent halftime searching for the shift in approach that might change the dynamic of the contest, but France allowed them absolutely no time to find it. 8 minutes after the restart, in the 53rd minute, it was 2-0, and the goal again had Olise's fingerprints all over it. Aurélien Tchouaméni picked up a loose ball and quickly fed Olise, who spotted Gustav Lagerbielke's positioning and executed an audacious nutmeg right through the Swedish defender's legs, releasing Bradley Barcola into the space behind. Barcola took a composed touch to set himself before arrowing a finish past Zetterström's outstretched right hand. For a 22-year-old Paris Saint-Germain winger now firmly established as one of the tournament's most dangerous attackers, it was another statement goal on the biggest stage of his career so far. Barcola was full of praise afterward for the man who had made it possible, describing Olise in a post-match interview as simply a genius, a player who does everything on the pitch and makes everyone around him look better. The third goal, arriving in the 74th minute, was built on a moment of Mbappe magic that was almost too casual to be real. He produced a backheel pass to Barcola in the build-up, then continued his run into the box to receive the ball back from Olise and fired a composed, precise finish inside the far post to complete his brace and register his 6th goal of this World Cup tournament. That tally moved him level with Lionel Messi in the Golden Boot race, and more significantly, it gave him 10 career goals in World Cup knockout matches, breaking the previous record held jointly by Brazilian greats Leonidas and Ronaldo by a full 2 goals. Deschamps bowed to his captain as Mbappe walked toward the touchline to be substituted in the 85th minute, a gesture that said everything about the relationship between a legendary manager and the player he has helped shape into one of the most decorated international scorers the sport has ever seen. Sweden's players were gracious in defeat, with captain Victor Lindelof acknowledging through a translator that France were simply too well organized and too gifted at changing the pace of a match to allow opponents to settle. Potter, for his part, was measured and honest, saying he had no complaints with his players whatsoever and expressing pride in how far the side had come across this tournament. Getting Sweden to a round of 32 at a World Cup, given where they entered through the third-place playoff route, was a genuine achievement in its own right, even if the exit felt comprehensive. Sweden needed miracles to beat this French team, their manager admitted as much publicly, and miracles were in short supply once Mbappe found his range in the first half stoppage time. There's also a separate storyline worth following beyond the result itself, and it concerns the Golden Boot race that is shaping up to be one of the defining individual narratives of this entire tournament. Mbappe entering Tuesday night's match with 4 goals, Messi sitting on 6 after his 2-goal performance against Austria, and now Mbappe leveling the Argentine on 6 goals with 2 matches potentially still remaining is the kind of subplot that reaches well beyond pure football, into the territory of living legends directly competing for the same piece of history in real time. Whoever finishes the tournament as top scorer will almost certainly do so having broken Messi's recent World Cup record of 18 career goals. Mbappe already equaled that tally against Sweden, sitting on 18 in just 18 World Cup appearances against Messi's 19 in 29. The rate difference alone is staggering, and it's arriving at a tournament where both men are operating simultaneously at the peak of their powers. For France, the numbers across this tournament